I would like to introduce you to my new friend, the mango tree. It is one of our more recent additions to the Florida homestead here. We've decided to become fruit tree growers along with the vegetable garden we have planned. If you're new to the channel, remember this is a first-timer type channel. So this is a crowdsourcing information type channel. This is not an expert channel. I am just documenting the successes and failures of our journey towards growing our own food, having a homestead in sort of north central Florida, the wins and losses, so that either you can learn from us or just enjoy the entertainment. So I decided that as the person who goes to the grocery store the most and buys food for our family, that we should invest in some fruit trees because our kids eat a lot of fruit. So let me introduce you to what we decided to purchase. And keep in mind, we purchased these specifically for what we could afford, what we thought we could grow here, and what we like to eat. But I'm going to tell you my mistakes after I tell you what we got, because I made a couple big mistakes in purchasing these trees, and then I'm going to introduce you to Luke over at a natural farm in Central Florida where we bought the trees, who's going to tell you even more mistakes to avoid if you're planning on growing fruit, no matter where you are in the country. We're in Florida, but he's going to have some good advice for everybody. So first, let me start with this is a peach tree. It should start producing fruit, I've been told, by spring. So that's pretty cool. This is a mango tree. We're probably not going to get fruit from this mango tree for another year, and they are all grafted. Grafted, I think, means you take an older tree on the top and a younger tree on the bottom, and you mush them together. I know mush is probably not a scientific word, but the top of this tree, of this mango tree, thinks it's a little older than the bottom of the tree really is, and that's how people just get faster producing trees. The problem is if the tree is too heavy on the top for its support system, you don't want to let it produce fruit. So if I understand correctly, I could be wrong, please correct me in the comments, I think our mango tree could produce fruit soon, but they've told me to not let it do that, or at least one of the employees at a natural farm told me not to do that because it would be too heavy. So we're not going to get mango right away, but we probably will get peach. Moving on. This is our avocado tree. We got a winter Mexican avocado tree. The reason I chose winter Mexican is because I was told that this has a longer production time, so it can withstand colder temperatures. We do have colder temperatures in this part of Florida, and also it just has a longer growing season. I mean, it grows all the time, obviously, but it's going to fruit for a longer period of time, so we'll get more avocados. The youngest producer, Jack, on the farm here, he's almost a year old, 3 weeks and he's gonna be a year old. He loves avocado. He probably could eat an avocado a day. So we're probably gonna have to get more of these trees. This is a Tangelo tree. Tangelo, I don't really have much experience with Tangelo, I'll be honest with you, but I've been told it's kind of like grapefruit and an orange, maybe. Am I right about that? And a lemon tree. This is our lemon tree. And the reason that the lemon tree and the Tangelo tree are planted under this huge tree of ours is because Luke, over at a natural farm, who I'm going to show you in a second, told me that citrus trees are kind of the, what do you call them, the problem children of the fruit tree growing world, at least here in Florida. And they can be a little bit more difficult. And there's some kind of disease or something that they suffer from in Florida that he says he's found them to do better, or to just survive better if they're planted under a bigger tree. Why? I don't know. He doesn't really seem to know, but he seems to have found that to be a better success. So we planted them under, they still get a lot of sun, but these trees also are sort of half shade, half sun kind of trees anyway. Some people grow them on their patio. So they're fine under the big tree. So anyway, that's just another little piece of advice. Okay, so my biggest mistake, I don't know anything about growing trees. My biggest mistake was that I did not do my research ahead of time, and I went on a day that was packed with customers. if you're going to go to buy a tree and you're not going to be able to spend an hour, and I'm not even kidding you, at least an hour with the owner of the store. And I really wanted to spend the entire time with the owner, but I picked a terrible day. I went on a Saturday, took the kids, because we were dropping my husband off at a class that he was taking. And so we're like, oh, let's just take the day and go do the fruit trees. And it was Saturday, it was packed, and he was teaching a class on mango trimming. So he was rushed. I couldn't talk to the owner that I really wanted to talk to, the guy who knows everything about trees. I couldn't talk to him as much as I needed to. And I also had not done my research, so I needed to talk to him. Now, they had great help there. The employees at the farm were really helpful, but to me, there's nothing that substitutes for the owner of a store, because their business is riding on it, and they tend to know more, and they really want you to succeed with their product, right? Because it's their business on the line. So my advice to everybody is, either do your research and don't be in a rush like I was. I mean, these plants are in pots right now. So they would have just been growing in his place or growing here. It's not like I got to get them in the soil. They're not growing. Like my seed stars, there's time, right? Time is of the essence, because I want to get them in the soil because I want to get them going by the growing season. But these trees, they're in pots. Big deal if they grow in pots at his place or my place for a few more weeks to make sure we know what we're doing. We didn't have the site prepared here yet for them, though we are close to having the garden orchard area ready, but we didn't have the area ready, and we don't really know what we're doing. So here's the trade-off. Go on a day when you can spend plenty of time learning and have your site ready when you come home, or know what you're talking about and do tons of research before, and then go on a busy day, and it doesn't matter if you talk to the owner. If you don't know what you're doing like us, go on a day like a Tuesday morning. If you have to take the day off, take the day off. Why do I say this? I spent $500 on these trees. Trees that are going to start producing fruit in the near term, they are not cheap. So you're going to invest some money into them. Don't lose the money by being hasty with your decision making. The number one mistake I feel like, at least me personally, I make in life, and this is just following the pattern, is rushing decisions. Not taking a second and going, all right, wait a second, let's just calm down. Who cares if I go in 3 weeks? Or who cares if I don't do this today? And I feel like farming, it's funny, I went back and watched a video I made when I quit TV news, and I said, hey, I want to get out of the rat race. I want to have a life where it's just slow. And I watched tomatoes grow. But guess what? You can take the girl out of the newsroom, but you can't take the newsroom out of the girl. And I got to start slowing my roll, as we tell the kids. Slow your roll. Chill out. So that's my best advice. Know what you're doing, or go on a day when you can learn what you're doing, and be ready when you bring the stuff home to care for them. I can't tell you, I have burned a hole in my phone calling Luke over at a natural farm and emailing him, asking him about this spot on this leaf, or watering, or this pest, or what I should be doing, or anyway, I could have avoided all that if I had just taken a second. All right, Luke, take it away. I wanted to find a place that kind of had similar mindset to us as far as how we want to grow, which is as little intervention as possible. And Luke, not just called a natural farm, they are a natural farm. I guess, could you start with, what does that mean? Talk about your growing methods.
So we started about 11 years ago, and the goal initially was to show people how they can grow their own food, and we could provide them with the plants, but also the education. So we do a lot of classes and workshops to show them how to do it. Like today we're doing a mango, but what we do here is we don't use pesticides or chemicals, no chemical fertilizer. And then, so we have about 130 types of fruit trees, edible plants, and then we have a food forest in the back to show people how things turn out after 7-8 years.
You can tell he's telling the truth, because you can see Lily over here with all the bugs. See? Right? So they're not all killed off. They do have bugs here, because I can attest to it. My daughter was playing with them. All right. So what should people first think through if they want to get fruit trees or edible plants where they live, and not constantly be intervening, spraying, all that kind of thing? Like, what are some of the common mistakes people make and the questions they should ask ahead of time?
So the first thing is know where you are. If you're in New York, Orlando, Los Angeles, every area will have different plants. So make sure you know your zone, see which plants grow well in your zone. So you're not gonna plant a mango tree in Gainesville. And then after that, kind of do a quick design, the spacing between your trees. Don't get the plants too far away or too close to each other. And then mix the type of plants, taller fruit trees with shorter trees, ground covers, and also flowers to attract the pollinators.
Talk a little bit about monoculture and how that brings about the problems that then require more intervention.
Yeah, so the main issue that this farming system is mostly running is that they have monoculture, which means one guy will grow 10 million strawberries or 1,000 acres of wheat, and then therefore if he's got a bug or a disease issue, it's just going to be a big infestation, and then he's got to use a lot of chemicals. So the key is to mix a lot of plants together, and then you have a good diversity for you to eat and also for the plants to fight or to kind of balance the good bugs and the bad bugs.
Okay. Luke was telling me that even growing under another tree, like putting our fruit trees under a bigger, different kind of tree, helps protect them. Why is that?
So some plants, especially here in Central Florida or South Florida, they are, it's the heat is hot for us. So the plants will grow better if they get some kind of relief from the heat and from the sun. And also some plants, like citrus trees, tend to be more resistant to some diseases when they grow in under tall canopy trees.
Okay. What are, I guess, big picture, why should people even care about growing the way you guys do? And why? What's the big deal if you just throw a little bit of pesticides on your plants?
Well, I guess it's a proven fact that there's a lot more people have each disease, cancer. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but it's a fact that pesticides are definitely not good for you, and they're creating a lot of issues, short term and long term.
Do they have issues with the plants? Like, what have you noticed? I guess the differences with plants that are treated regularly with a pesticide versus ones that aren't. Do they have any long-term resilience issues, or I mean, do you just require more and more over time, like people in medicine? I'm just curious what you've noticed.
Well, I've never really compared because we have always done it that way ever since we started. We never used chemicals, so we didn't really do a comparison side by side. So I can't really answer that question.
But you can do it.
Yeah, it's possible. It's sometimes more of a challenge, but it's possible.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No. Check our website. You can order online. We ship everywhere: California, New York, Texas.
Oh.
Avocado, mango, peach, all kinds of fruit trees and edible plants.
I feel lucky that we could just drive here. What do you hope a natural farm becomes someday? Because it's an education center too.
Yeah, we are.
And how did you get into this?
I used to be in a big nursery business growing ornamental plants, and it was just not too much sense because it's just ornamental. So the goal was just to get into the edible stuff. As far as the future, we're just gonna stay small, just grow maybe more plants and help more people, help also on the design. People can come here and we can look at their layout and then give them some advice and just have fun.
Okay. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.